The 2023 SEC Championship game is between number 1 Georgia and number 8 Alabama on CBS at 3 p.m. Huge game, college football playoff implications involved in this. Real quick, if you're not already, hit the subscribe button down below this video. It's right next to our name and our logo. Hit the like while you're down there as well. Chase wanted me to give an update on the records so far this year. That's because he's sitting at the top at 47-21. I'm sitting in the middle at 42-26. And Quinn coming in the rear above 500, 39-29 so far in this year. Now, fellas, let's get to this game, SEC Championship here. Georgia's favored by 6 points. I believe it opened up last week at 3, maybe 3.5 in Georgia's favor. It has since been betted up to UGA -6. Chase, real quick, is this enough or is this disrespectful?
That's a great question, Freddie. And personally, I don't know if I can answer that. I don't know if I'm professional enough to even answer that. But what I will say is that this is the storybook matchup that you want. Alabama's only been an underdog 4 times, I think, and all of them have been to Georgia. And I think they're 3 in one of those games, if I'm not mistaken. Quinn, you might know me better. I don't know. The
You are
guys,
correct.
both of them struggled last week. Both of them struggled last week. Alabama beating Auburn on a prayer in Jordan Hare. Pun. And then Georgia as well. People are going to be like, oh, Alabama barely beat a 5-6 Auburn, who prepped for Alabama for 2 weeks. But Georgia only won by 8 against Georgia Tech, who has been a kind of a gritty team in the ACC, but still nonetheless only 6-6. So not a much better team than Auburn. So they both had their struggles this past week. But guys, I kind of got into bed last night. I tucked myself in. I read myself a little nighttime story. Then I clicked on my TV, went to the Disney Plus streaming app. I turned on Cinderella. And, just watching her get that glass shoe and becoming this beautiful princess that she is in the world of Disney, right? It made me think of Alabama. And it made me think about how Alabama is going to wear that crystal shoe at some point. And it's not going to be this year. It's not. The 6.5 is disrespectful to Georgia because Georgia is the most dominant team in the country. And I think Georgia wins this game by 2 touchdowns. The storybook's over. Close the nighttime stories. Turn off Disney Plus. No more watching Cinderella. It's over. Alabama fans have been sitting here all season long thinking, oh, if we win this game, if we lost to Texas in week 2, but we're going to come back and we're going to win all these games. Alabama doesn't have the firepower. Jalen Milroe is amazing. He's great. The defense is exceptional, but it's not Georgia level. Georgia is on an elite level, and Alabama's on a very good level this season. Alabama's Cinderella storybook is closed. It's shut after December 2nd, after this game. I personally believe is going to be a 38-24, 38-21 game Georgia's way. And Georgia will be sitting at number 1 to go into the college football playoffs. Quinn?
Okay, I wouldn't say that Georgia's going to win this game 38-21. I do think that's a little bit extreme. I think when you look at these two teams, both rosters, in my book, are top 4 rosters in the sport this year. My opinion on who the top 4 are really has kind of been the same now for a handful of weeks. It's Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, and Georgia. Now, are those going to be the 4 that make the playoffs? No. But I do think they're the 4 most talented teams in the sport this year. In this particular matchup, 6.5, I think is about right. I think that's about where Georgia should be favored. When you're talking about what Alabama can do to stress Georgia, I'm going to point towards Jalen Milroe as a scrambling and passing quarterback. Through the history of Kirby Smart defenses, that has been the main crux of his ability to slow down a team, is a quarterback who can stress his defense with the run game. As far as what Georgia's going to do, their key matchup over Alabama, I'm going to put it, and this is an out there take, I'm going to put the pre-snap motion of the defensive line versus the snap issues of the Alabama center. I think you will see at least one major turnover from a bad snap. Alabama's been flirting with it all year long, and I think it is guaranteed to happen on Saturday. And I do think that will be a major, major determiner who wins the game. And Chase, I agree with you. I'm a little bummed you got on here and said Georgia was going to win the game because that's where I'm going as well. I think Georgia should cover the spread, not because they're going to blow Alabama out 38-21, but instead because I think they win on a late touchdown in a close game and close it out. I'm gonna give Georgia a 7-point victory and let's call it 24-17 Georgia.
Wow. Guys, leave a like for Quinn and Chase keeping it real and not having bias involved. A lot of channels here that are, amateur podcasters like ourselves, like to have a lot of bias involved. We do all of college football. We're not just SEC. We're not just Alabama, the entire scope. But give me Alabama to win this game. This reminds me of 2021 in the SEC championship game. Georgia was favored by almost a touchdown. Alabama came in sort of a similar scenario here where they needed to win this game to have a chance to be in the playoffs. And they did. And it wasn't a fluky win, right? It was a very convincing win. Now, this Alabama team's not as good as that 2021 team is, in my opinion. There's not the playmakers all over the field. But I don't think Georgia's as good either. And Alabama will be the best, okay, maybe not the best offense. Let's say the most dynamic offense because of Jalen Milroe and what he can do. Quinn, you brought up a good point. Going back to Kirby Smart's days as DC at Alabama, would always give him fits, a mobile quarterback. And I also think that Alabama's secondary is going to be by far the best secondary that Georgia has faced yet, in my opinion. And Carson Beck, although he's played very, very good this year in his first year starting, I don't know if when the lights come on in the SEC championship game against one of the best secondaries in the country, can he do it? I'm looking at one, maybe two interceptions from Carson Beck in this game alone. Now, he's got 6 on the year, which is the same as Jalen Milroe, and we give him a lot of crap for throwing interceptions as well. But you don't really see that with Carson Beck very often. So I've got Bama to win this game 31-27. That's my prediction. I think it will be a very tight game. It's going to be, I believe, the best game of the day, considering Oregon and Washington play the night before. But give me Alabama, Cinderella story, put the shoe on their foot, and they're going to wear it around.
May I ask you one question before we slip out of here?
Slip. That was a good one.
You bring up 2021. I will say this: the major difference. You're right about Alabama, but there's a major difference about Georgia. In 2021, Georgia did not need a win in Atlanta to make the playoff because of the way the playoff field was set up. They do need it this year. Do you think that plays any role?
Not in a Kirby Smart team. I think they're too disciplined for that personally. Now, if we're talking about a Texas, maybe, but and that's no disrespect to Sarkisian. It's just from what Kirby Smart has been in his coaching career. I don't think that would affect him as much.